thank you, Economic Times, for organizing this wonderful discussion. The theme, which is high touch, high tech approach to mass hiring, is very relevant in the current situation. And to discuss this, we have an amazing set of speakers from very diverse backgrounds. And I have a very easy job to do today, which is ask them a bunch of questions that have been troubling me and answers to which I have been looking for myself. And I will learn in the process. And in the process, I hope the audience benefits as well. So, Sundar, let me start right with you. I was reading an article recently, where based on a survey, one of the findings was that if people are asked to return to work, 40% of them would quit their jobs. So life will never go back to pre-pandemic times. So my question to you is that this is going to be a given going forward, some kind of a hybrid workplace model. How has how have you seen the mass hiring approach change in your organization or in organizations that you are in some ways associated with?
Absolutely. Thanks, Hari. So it's been a very interesting time during this pandemic, specifically on the hiring side of things. And as rightly so, if we have a hybrid workplace, it's going to provide a lot of challenges. That's clearly critical. So what we have done in last couple of quarters is how do we create certain work streams which can be hybrid, work streams which can be office focused, work streams which can be on the mode of it can be only from working from home. These are the three types of things that we have created at this point of time. So if you look at it, what from a standpoint of interviewing, standpoint of hiring people, and the cities in which we hire, we put a lot of focus around it. So to answer your question, it is not going to be a big challenge because the flexibility that the industry have created in last couple of quarters have been phenomenal. So if you ask me, same time last year, April, May, June, we struggled a lot. We struggled a lot from using the technology for hiring. How do we hire a candidate for a Bangalore requirement from Chennai, a Chennai requirement from Nashik, and those were the things that we have been going through. But pandemic have taught us how to use technology in a more effective way. And post this pandemic era, how can we realign the company based on the needs of the people from a flexibility standpoint? That was the second one that we addressed. And the last one is, but at the same time, a lot of people have been calling us, when can we come to work? So close to 70% wants to come to work ASAP. 30% there is always a fear of how will I start it? There is a fear, but we have created enough flexibility as an industry.
And the 70% wants to come back 5 days a week or 1 day a week?
So if you heard these, the answer is almost 70, close to 50% wants to come back all 5 days a week, because we did a survey or every 3 months we do a survey around what they feel. The current trend is around half want to come back 5 days a week. 1/3 wants to come back on a 3-day a week. And the last 1/3 wants to come back at least, a weekly ones or a monthly ones, because they want to continue to have that, that learning, that ecosystem collaborative platform within our team base. But there is a lot of flexibility which is there. And very interestingly, the ones who wants to come back are the fresh engineering graduates or the fresh set of people. And the one who wants to be on the flexible mode are the leadership teams. So that's very interesting. And in fact, from a gender diversity, I'm noticing because of the flexible environment, the attrition trends are going down. Specifically on the flexibility, what we have operated in last 12 months period, female diversity, there are attrition is coming down. That's a very interesting analysis that we did.
And just one follow-through question on the same topic, Sundar, which is, you are the CHRO of global IT services company. So virtual teams, remote working is not new to you at all. So why did the pandemic even affect you? Because you must have already been used to, a bunch of people working from home, different time zones, working in a virtual environment. So why did the pandemic affect you at all?
So, let me put it this way, right? In past pre-pandemic times, virtual working is super easy in a Western part of world. So almost we are 50 percentage on a flexible mode like this. But in the India side of things, we operated a 90 percentage people coming into the office. Only 10 percentage we had this model. And critical decisions we used to take from the office, right? So when you meet, when people want to understand, they want to have a feel. Candidates hiring or promotions or any people related activities, it was counted based on the interaction what we have, not the video interaction. So that has changed. That is the challenge, because to understand the body language, to understand what is going in somebody's mind, to get them aligned to the organization philosophy. So that took
Yeah.
some time. That is the challenge that we had in the initial days. Now, this has become the routine for us.
Got it. Interesting. We'll come back to you again in terms of how this has impacted your hiring. But moving to Manish. Manish, maybe why won't you want to share with us in 3, 4 sentences what exactly Betterplace does? I have a clear understanding, but for the benefit of the audience, maybe you would just want to talk about Betterplace and what business are you in?
Sure. Thanks, Hari. If you think about Betterplace, think of it as a technology platform that is connecting blue collar with everyone around in the ecosystem. So let's say if it's an employer who wants to hire, we are the technology platform that is connecting. If it's a business which is targeting the blue collar segment, let's say a microcredit or any of those services, we are the technology platform that is connecting. There are a lot of government bodies like NSDC, NGOs who working with blue collar from a skilling and improving their lives perspective. We are the technology platform that are connecting these two. So anyone in the ecosystem who wants to talk to blue collar, we are the technology platform for that. I mean, that's in a gist what Betterplace is.
Interesting, very interesting. You guys are doing very well, growing gangbusters.
Thank
So,
you.
Manish, if we just ask you this question about the gig workforce, gig economy has been taking shape over the last few years in the US and the Western world, even in the white collar category, this has taken off. But in India, predominantly, it's taken off in the blue collar space. Can you
Yes.
just talk a little bit about some of the forces that are driving this gig economy and some insights about, how this is likely to shape up in the years to come?
No, thanks, Hari. And that is a very relevant question in the current scheme of things and how the entire ecosystem is evolving. If you really look at it, gig economy amongst blue collar today is probably about 5-6% of the total job, right? I personally feel that this is going to change significantly, right? I'm sure over the next few years this can easily double or triple, if not less, right? So the way some of these are happening is, there are 3 or 4 factors which is really driving this. Start with first, even from an employee, the person who's actually doing the gig mindset. Of course, it all started with Uber globally, and then there are a lot of models coming in, and people starting to accept those as a way of working. The mindset of a blue collar also, when you go speak to them, it's changed from, hey, you know what, I need 8 hours job to get basic salary to the new thinking now is I'm ready to work hard, but I really want to maximize my earning. And 95% it's about I want to work more, get earnings so that I can improve my life and my family's life, right? That mindset has changed. So even from looking at gig as an option has been a big change, right? It's also driven by the same fact saying, hey, you know what, I'm ready to learn more. It was earlier about, okay, I know ABC skill, I can only do a certain type of job. Now it's about I'm willing to adapt. I'm willing to actually go and learn all of that. So there's a big change in the mindset of people who want to look at gig as an option, right? Even from an employer perspective, again, it's very interesting. There's always been an inherent need of getting people for part time, getting people for shorter duration. Some companies have peaks. E-commerce companies. I'm sure your company also has the same thing, right? I mean, you have certain surge in demand. even outside internet commerce, let's say the retailers, they have high traffic coming in during the weekends and during evening times. But the companies have never been able to, get to a model where you say, hey, you know what, I just need people for 3 hours, 4 hours. It was an evolved concept in the developed countries, but that inherent need is now being realized. Companies are also seeing that it's actually possible to do all of that, and that's what is the biggest factor, which comes to the overall solutions that are now available to make this work, right? Think of it a few years back, if you were to hire a person for just say doing deliveries 2 hours a day, or someone working in my retail store for 1 hour a day, you will still have to go through this entire process by yourself. Hey, I need to identify the person, I need to make sure this person is coming, I need to figure out whether this person is going to work on Wednesday 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. or Saturday 4 hours, right? So that entire scheduling, verification is an important aspect of blue collar. So getting every individual verified, that entire aspect had to be done by the companies themselves, right?
Yes.
And for this to be scalable, again, that is a different nightmare, because today you're getting 4 people, tomorrow you may get very different 4 people, because your job is the same, but everything else is changing. The good news is now you have solutions that can actually bring this to you. So, the employer can just pick and choose what they want. The employee can really think about it from a perspective of
Manish, just to add to this and a follow-up question further, which is that from what you're saying, it's pretty evident that both individuals, gig workers, as well as companies stand to gain by this model. The interests of both are completely aligned. But if you just look at the way regulators across the world are looking at this, in California, in the UK, where Uber drivers and several other gig workers were deemed to be permanent employees of the company. How do you see that misalignment there between the way regulators are thinking and the way companies and individuals are thinking? And where do you see this going in India?
So again, I would think that's a positive development, right, for the ecosystem. And the reason I say it's positive is, let's say in India, there's already a draft regulation on the table where employers will still be responsible for all the compliances, and then for a gig, you just can't treat them as one more, a partner of sorts. But everything that you're doing for your full-time employees, you would want to do that. Now, the reason I say this is good news is you're formalizing the sector of sorts. Again, so it's not about anyone, really trying to just pin someone in and get something done, but it's about actually making it a very formal way of working. And I'm sure even employers who are thinking long term would want this to be a working. It's not about that one transaction, and it's not about making money out of that, or just getting delivery done cheaper in that one aspect. It's about how do you make it a sustained way of working, right? The benefit that the employers get is I don't have to worry about full time. I can get on a need basis. But once you bring in formalizing the regulations, it just helps everyone to think of this as a formal sector.
Sure.
So I see that as a very positive development.
Got it. I'll come back to that gig thing a little bit down. So Sudhir, moving to you, I think in terms of financial services, you are, part of, I think, the country's biggest financial services firm, most respected, Motilal Oswal. Can you just talk a little bit about how this hybrid workplace model is impacting your business, impacting the way you hire, onboard your talent?
Hari, as Sundar has told, that it gives an opportunity to the employer as well as employer. Now, there are good at both the ends. Means the employee can choose what to do, and employer can also choose to provide the workspace or not. And I was just surprised to see Sundar saying that 70% of the people are ready to come back. But I don't think so. It's going to be a tough for all the HR heads to bring people back, because first, once we went in a lockdown, and people were so much bored in the home, that I want to go back to the home. And I think 1.5 years, 14 months, now to change it again, be a bit tough.
Yeah, it will be
Said
tough.
that, this hybrid model is good, but it has its own challenges also. Now, I was doing a little bit survey on the people, how they feel and what is the condition working at home. And I see that there are changes. The first thing is the space constraint at home. Means if they have to work at the home, the space is constrained. If two people are working, then they don't have a separate desk and those things. These are the challenges. Then second thing is the internet connectivity. Third thing is, may not be in the main Bombay, but if you go outskirts of the Bombay, there are electrical cuts. Means one day the electricity will be cut. These are the challenges the people will face in this hybrid model, is how to get connected, because getting the connected to the office is very important. And still, we have the mental models to chuck back. His boss still have a fear. What is my guy doing at home and those things? He wants to check by, connect and those things. I think that is going to take some time. We still have the value system of policing and seeing, going back and checking, is that guy working? What's his going? Let me pin in. Let me this thing. So that is going to stay for a while. It was not of a choice. It was of the default that we have to adopt this system. Out of this, we learned a lot, because we had no choice just to go on a lockdown and explore the new waves of the working. And for an employer, there is going to be advantage, means he can decide that whether it's a sale for I need to come office or not to come office. Maybe some people have to be operating from the office. Then for our industry, there's a regulators also who create an impact, because the regulation also decides whom to operate from the office, whom don't, because there's some in a trading also, you have to go for a recording trades, and there's so many regulators who will decide what to do with those job roles. So mix of this everything, I think sales guys, I think is no-brainer. They can go on the hybrid model. I think what we have done as Sundar was also talking about, we decided in 3-4 buckets. One is the full-time office, one is a partial office, and one is full-time at home.
Yeah.
And maybe once a week and those things. It's simple. We just put a one column in HRMS system only, and we told everybody to just label that person, flag it up now. If you have to think of that, can I take the data and filter it quickly out? How it's to define? I think that was a learning out of it. And it has to, it will remain now. Means we can change our appointment letters, adding this clause. Okay, the job may be for the home for a while, because those things we learned, because people should be clear what we are talking about. It should not be a surprise to them one day. I think those things have changed. And as I said, it is going to be beneficial both ends.
Great. So I think first round of questions, I think we were able to warm up and give long answers. Going forward, if we can just keep them crisp, now we can get through a lot more questions. So Sundar, very quickly moving to you. This entire idea of high touch, high tech is such an oxymoron. How can you have high touch and high tech? So can you just talk a little bit about what is high touch, what is high tech, and how is this enhancing your hiring?
Very good question. And, it's the way we solve this, it's an evolving one, but how we have solved till now is we call it as a STC model. How do we solve that high tech, high touch? One, S stands for social platform. So with the help of the social platform, how can we build communities? It can be a technology community, or it can be a fresher community, or it can be a domain community to attract talent, so that before you bring somebody to do an interview, we build interest towards the profile, or interest towards the job description, interest towards what we have done in the past, a 1-minute video about what this job calls for. That is the innovation that have been brought in over a period of time, but it is super active now. So now before somebody comes in for a job application, they go through, hey, will this works? Is this future for me? That is the first social platform that we are using. And why it is called as a social platform is this is posted on LinkedIn, Twitter, Insta, Facebook. Everywhere we post it when a requirement is starting. And we build that community, and whoever is interested, what are the likes and this one, that creates a lot of enthusiasm, curiosity around the role. That is step one. That's the first high tech, and it also has a high touch.
Yeah.
Second one about the T is about the tooling. So what this pandemic have created is usage of tools to assess, to build, to test on different psychometric type of thing, but with the help of tooling. That is the second one, and we have actually working with some 6 to 7 companies where the tools, right from scheduling interview to doing an interview, and I may be in the gym. So answer the question what the hiring manager have put in forward, then it will go as a text to the person. So those types of cool stuff that we have done, it's all based on tools that is kept on a record.
Yeah. So let me just ask you a blunt question here, Sundar. Are these tools really delivering results, or they just fashionable to do?
So it's a blunt question. We are trying to make it work. Okay, that's the reason it's an evolving thing, Hari. I mentioned it's an evolving thing, but it is helpful. Tomorrow, earlier there were days we need to go look at what somebody have said. This tool helps for allocation and all the other better things.
Understood.
Then the last one is about the collaboration. So I have a community identified from the community, because a Java guy will not apply for a full stack guy will not apply for a domain. So that is done by the community at the social level. Then the tooling takes care of all these things, but it is not integrated. Today, I see a big opportunity. Maybe if Manish may like it, because if somebody is a good integrator of this, that's a fabulous opportunity. Even Western world, we are struggling. Okay. Then collaboration. So you hire, you offer. Then we need to have a collaborative model. That's also we are using platforms like it can be Zoom, it can be Teams, it can be everything. So that's what we have put in place. And I'm very, very enthused to share about a number. Almost 6,000 hires we have made this year, which is 21 FY21, based on this model. Because and talking only about lateral hiring, this does not include campus hiring.
Fantastic.
So I'll not call it a struggle. We learned, every day is a learning, but I see a big potential in this area if somebody integrates this.
So Manish, back to you. Your gig, you're the expert on gig. So I'll combine two questions that are at the back of my mind. One is you talked of gig is formalizing that in some ways is good. So what should employers do to ensure that the gig workforce feel a sense of belonging? That's question number one. And the other question that I have for you is that is a doubt that is often expressed, which is that does this kill customer experience, or does this take away consistency, predictability from customer experience, this gig workforce structure? If you can just address those two.
Sure. Look, these are very, very relevant, right? I mean, the blue collar that most companies employ is at the end of the day facing customer. In fact, in more cases than not, it is the only brand that the customer sees physically, right? And that's why the customer experience becomes very, very critical there. The way I want to think about this is, for employers, don't treat it as a transactional relationship, right? Really invest and make it a relationship. What that means, it's not about, hey, today you come do the delivery, right? Or today you come do this job for me or attend these calls. It's about, I will work with you to drive a certain income for you in a month, right? Be it 4,000, be it 6,000, be it 10,000. But I'll ballpark give you access to that kind of income. You work for me. Yeah, it could be that today you're doing 20 calls, tomorrow you're doing 30 calls. I mean, those are the ways that can happen. But if you're spending 3-4 hours with me, you're going to get 4,000, 6,000 rupees, broad range, right?
Yeah.
Try and build that kind of a relationship, because then it becomes, the person is also thinking of it as a relationship. Otherwise, there are enough opportunities to really go down. The second thing is important to also cross-train and make sure some of these people are skilled for relevant level. For example, you may not have the call volume to do today, but you may have something else that need to be done in the office, and you can combine some of those, provided you're able to cross-skill some of these, right? And restaurants are a classic example. You go to deliveries, you can also wait in the common area for some of those, right? How do you really combine some of these? Or for e-commerce, it could be sorting plus delivery. So how do you really get that multi-skilling going? The third is bring in a lot more visibility and clarity to what the person is really looking at, right? Okay, so I have done 30 drives, I have done 20 deliveries, so it means I'm going to earn 5,000 rupees, or just get that visibility, because it's nothing is surprising. It's like otherwise it's a black hole for everyone in terms of what's really happening. So get that, and for most important, from making it scalable, get the right tech platforms to drive some of those things, right? So that you have control on the process. You're making sure someone is rostering is being done, and payouts are being done. You could then argue, I can actually pay out every day. Why do I have to wait for the end of the month to do all the reconciliation, etc., right? And those are the things that really excite them. Similarly, on the customer experience side, again, it's the same thing. It's about how do you make sure the training happens. And here, you have distributed setup across the country. You can't really send trainers the old school style of, you train the trainers and then you do it. It's not going to work. The good news is everybody has a mobile phone, right? Everybody who's working in this has a smartphone. How do you really use that to drive training? And there are enough things that are happening now. You're able to gamify, you're able to assess, you're able to really do that. The second important aspect here is keep some of these live. So I have operational information coming in. Right? What is the feedback coming in from delivery, from a customer? How do I tie that back into the person who's doing it? So if I get, for example, a poor customer feedback, I need to make sure that person is grounded, goes through a certain training, is certified, and then goes back on the field, right? Most of the cases, the intent is not to deliver bad experience, right? I mean, all of these guys are just working to improve their lives. So they're willing to learn. So how do you make sure this process is controlled? We don't react after a month saying, hey, you know what, I got a bad customer feedback long time. So how do you really make some of those live?
Yeah.
Of course, incentives being tied to CSAT and bringing that visibility are some of the other factors that really help in getting this.
Great. Thanks, Manish. So Sudhir, moving back to you, there is a view that work from home has impacted extroverts far more than introverts, and introverts have been actually loving this work from home. So how do you see this? How do you view this? How do you deal with some of the problems that extroverts face, continuously working from home? That's, I would say, question number one for you. And the other question is, how are you seeing some changes in the recruitment processes? In this current situation, how are you recruiting differently? So both questions, if you can just combine and respond.
Okay, thanks, Hari, to bring it up. Yeah, means work from home has been, one way it is good. Okay, we are at home and there's some comfort, but same time, it has a psychological impact to all the employees. I don't say it's an extrovert and introvert. I think it has impacted most of us because we need to have a community. Once I go to office, I belong to a community. I belong to HR department. I belong to my company and those things. I think we lost those labelings, and we are in four walls along with four people. There's nothing outside going on. I think that has impacted us all without we knowing. We are running in that problem. Second thing is we always have somebody to talk at office. Means normally, I'm sure that you might have heard about the work spouses.
Yeah.
That relieves you a lot of your stresses. Now, in such an atmosphere, once we're working from a home, means my wife won't be interested to listen with me what is happening in my office. Then how am I going to chat with? That's one more thing, because that relieves a lot of the stress of the office. Because if you're working in an office, this is a normal thing which can happen to any employee, irrespective of his grade, designation. I think every level they have their own problems to live with. Now that cope-up mechanism has to be there. Means you need an external support, maybe that you need a counselor. In our organization, we open out the counseling because I'm myself a psychotherapist. We say that, okay, when somebody has a problem, you just call and chat with us, get relieved of it. You want somebody to sound it off. And means sitting on a laptop 12 hours, seeing the screen, it has some impact. That's the first part of your question.
Yeah.
Now, second part of the question, technology.
Yeah.
I believe the technology was just to put a number. We recruited something 5,500 people in 12
Wow.
months, and being in a financial industry, not in a tech industry, as I was myself surprised, we handled this workforce without being in an office. Means recruiting them, issuing the appointment letter, onboarding, giving them laptops. It worked like a machine. I think it's a huge learning for us also.
I'll just sorry for interjecting here. So I think you said that there is a significant change in the way you're recruiting. You know, automation, laptops, all the remote interviews. So is this something that will continue to work even after, say, life returns to normal, or are you compromising something in the current approach?
I think ideally it should work, but again, see, people can visualize 40 or 50% on the words what you're seeing. Means the more thing is, once you meet one-to-one people, maybe at a certain levels in you get a better understanding. And adding a psychometric part of it will make life easy, because you're assessing the needs of the person. What is the personality I'm handling with? Is it going to work for me on those things? And maybe for certain roles, I do it personally. Maybe it's going to be a trend in future. I will go to the social platform and check what is happening with you. Is I will check the needs from the social platform. What is that he is posting? What's that he is doing? Because that is behavior which is not under the surveillance type. He is doing at a free time, and more of the
Yes.
time as an individual, if it's a critical question for them.
And have you begun to use this data extensively? What is available in the public domain, social media?
Not extensively, but at least I practice it. As I'm just telling you this thing. I practice, and it's going to be a trend. I think somebody has to pick this. As I want an engine, why didn't you pick up those feeds and pick up with the jobs and see that whether the guy need to be introvert, extrovert, what he possesses, and marry those data, churn it out, and give us something information there. Yeah, it fits the role. I'm not saying it is right or wrong what he does in a social platform.
Sure.
I'm saying that how to take the benefit of that details, how to use it, and make the right choices.
Very nice. So just for the benefit of the audience, Sudhir, what kind of people do you recruit in large numbers? What kind of skills are you looking for?
See, it's a mix of both things. We will recruit all the freshers. Now, freshers, mostly they will not have any skills as such. They will have a basic knowledge of finance and equity, maybe MBAs and those things. Then we take them and train them over a period of time. We have our own training models and make them skillful for our jobs. And the rest thing is the lateral, which is just poaching here from here, there. And
sure.
And that's a normal thing of the life.
Sure. So Manish, just coming back to you a bit, in terms of blue collar workforce, what are some of the trends, hiring trends that you're seeing, and what role is technology playing? I think you are a tech platform for the blue collar workforce. So what role is technology playing in the hiring of blue collar workforce? And there's so many startups that are coming up, which are connecting blue collar workforce from different parts of India on an app with potential employers. So what's happening on that front?
Look, this is and at the stage where it's going to explode, right? I mean, I think the entire ecosystem is going to change. And to what Sundar and Sudhir were talking about, how they've adapted to some of the ways of recruiting, even a white collar. I think a lot of that is happening in the blue collar space as well in a very similar manner. Nobody could even think about it. Gone are the days where wanted drivers, call 98405 flyers you would see everywhere. We'll be far away from that, right? Over the last 12 months, without having any physical presence on the ground, we've been able to place about 50,000 people across companies, right? That's a good indicator of how some of the digital adoption is happening, and this is happening across the entire journey. Be it discovery, there's screening and skilling needed, and then of course the interview that happens for a blue collar, which, I ask people, what do you really ask in those interviews? They just ask 2 or 3 basic questions. It's not about skill test, etc. Right?
Can you just talk about those 2 or 3 basic questions which are important and which you would ask?
people just ask, where are you from? What's your name? What is your education? What's your age? I mean, which are the information available? The reason people want to ask this, we just want to get some comfort that this person is a good person to work with, right? Those are the assumptions that we now want to challenge and change as far as the ecosystem is concerned. So, what's happening? We're asking companies, can you post a video JD instead of just the flyer? We're asking candidates, can you post a video resume, which is like a 30-second talk about yourself, right? So someone who wants to hire a person who knows basic English, you can check on that video whether this person is able to speak that English. Who else do you want to be? On the screening side, I need a bike, I need a license. We are actually filtering all those out digitally without really looking at it. We are helping people do skilling and assessment. So, hey, and again, breaking down skilling to what Sundar was talking about, I don't really need let's say a cashier, right? I need someone who could have worked in any setup, but these are the job skills. So if you break the job role into 2-3 job skills and try and match that, how do you do the training? How do you really do that assessment? We're pushing for interviews which are digital rather than just physical. One important aspect for these guys is even going and attending a physical interview is 1 day. And for them, 1 day is 500 rupees of income for me, right? So it's an opportunity cost, and we need to start realizing how we're killing some of those. And of course, finally, validation and all the background verification, all of that can happen digitally. So the entire process, end to end, is some companies are actually lead adapters in doing it, and some companies are looking at pieces. But overall, it is going the digital way in terms of how the entire fulfillment happens.
Just to build on this, one more question, which is, the blue collar workforce in India has largely been migrant workforce. So how do you see this whole pandemic impacting their willingness to migrate far away from homes, live in, completely different cities without social support systems? How are you seeing any change at all in willingness to migrate and willingness to travel?
So, look, here's what is happening. Obviously, last year was really bad because it was all uncertain. This year is at least still known in terms of, and a lot of companies now have models of at least learning how do you really manage it, right? So that's happening. I think this uncertainty is there in select sectors where business continuity is at risk. But let's say e-commerce delivery, which are actually now thriving and there's a lot more demand. Some of these are actually picking up demand. From an individual perspective, they are looking, they're aware of some of these lack of support system. What the employers have started doing is they've started offering insurance, they've started covering for some of those, which is giving a security net of sorts, right? The social missing setup that they have in a city, employers are trying to really engage them and get that going. So it is a challenge. It's not easy. It's a big decision for these guys to still come over and then do that work. The good news is some of it is actually changing in a positive way.
Got it. Great. So moving to Sundar, I think Sundar, as I said, you are the CHRO of a company which is a global company. So you straddle the globe. So are you seeing any interesting global trend that is taking shape, which will be of interest, to the audience, either a global trend or a trend in any part of the world that you're seeing?
Absolutely. I'll put this into 3 parts. This question into 3 parts. One trend is about everywhere the mean time to hire is reducing. Okay, that is a trend that I'm seeing as a common trend because mean time to hire in India, it used to be around 60 days for our industry, which is the IT industry. Now that has dropped down to 30 days.
Wow. And
okay,
what happened? Why did this dramatic thing happen?
So this pandemic has created a big opportunity for a lot of IT workers. Earlier, IT, if I live in one city, I go and work in this city and this area, traffic, commute, lot of things people used to see. Now this has created a lot of opportunities. I may live in Trichy and I can work for Gurugram. Right? So this has created opportunity. So people are shopping of for jobs has increased. So all the hiring managers requirement is don't look for a person who you are going to make a passive candidate into an active candidate. Okay,
super.
So that is mean time to hire is a common trend that is reducing. Then the second one is willingness to reskill the person. That is the second trend. Earlier the fitment used to be around a 90% or even 110% fit for a role. that has reduced to a, give me 60 to 70 or 50 to 60%, we will be able to, try it out with that person.
Got it.
Then the third one is about the gig workforce, whatever we have been speaking. That is a trend, change in trend, because gig is going to multiply. And the changing trend, three things have happened in that. Very interesting. Last year, if I said that, or before pandemic, if I've said, hey, can we give this small project to a campus kid? Immediate answer is, do we really? I'm exposing data and all these things.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
that is changing. Second one, if Sundar is a employee in a company working for this program, so can we increase his time to work in some other stuff? They'll say, no, he is only for me. I will not allow him. Now, hey, by this way, we are looking for a gig workforce. Can we do something for him?
Interesting.
Okay. So it can be interview, you'll not believe, to interview, people are getting rewarded today in the company,
Yes.
externally, from the companies too. So it can be a work sharing from a technology side, or interviewing, or Sudhir mentioned about the counseling, right? So counseling is something which is a very interesting portion. Now people wanted to do it and get some points for that as a part of the performance review. So that is the trend which is happening. So gig, to put this in order, meantime to hire, then the skill training, that is, people are open for that when there is a hire, and
Great.
use the existing resource
Great.
or
I think
campus into this. These are the three things I'm saying.
understood. Got it. Yes. Wonderful. Very quickly, Manish and Sudhir, one minute, if you can take to share anything interesting, any trend that you're seeing, a long-term trend.
Sure. So look, the way I see this, Aryan, we spoke about obviously gigs, so that is going to definitely be a big change that is happening. The other thing that I see is, thinking about overall solution or a technology that is actually helping people drive in a lot of flexibility, even in everything that they're doing, even if it is non-gig, right? Blue collar has been a segment where some of these were just assumed as it can never be done. It's all about manual work and just physically getting it done. I think those are some of the big things that are really driving that change.
Let me just put you in a spot, Manish. One question: do you see white collar workforce also moving to a gig model gradually in India?
I would think yes, Hari, may not be at the scale with which we see the blue collar, but I am sure, and we're just talking about a few examples of how some of these things can happen. Interestingly, there are startups who are looking at serving this for the developed world, especially with the arbitrage of cost coming in. But I'm sure even and by the way, even in our own company, we've started giving out projects for certain pieces. Just carve it out, give it, get it done, right? So I'm sure. This is a trend that will pick up in the white collar as well.
Great. Sudhir, your thoughts, closing thoughts, any trend?
Maybe the bit of the education system which a fresher is going through has to be modified what is required for the industry. Means it has to be a bit customized, maybe some skills added to it, collaboration with the corporates and so thing. So that's an important thing. Means if you see that we have lakhs of MBA passing out, we have lakhs of engineers passing in. Are they getting the job what they're right?
Yes.
I think that's a bigger challenge I see, and how to tackle that. I think the education system as well as the corporates have to get together and see how we get to it. I think that's the biggest challenge we go through. Means it's marrying with the people. There are so many people who don't have jobs, and we see that how to get the right people. Means we have 2,000, 3,000 people. We struggle to get people. At the same time, we see so many people don't getting jobs.
Correct.
And how to do this matchmaking and those things. I think that's a bigger problem we as a country we have.
Absolutely. Very beautiful mega, picture you painted. So many people, so many unemployed, yet companies are struggling to fill, several openings. Great. It was a wonderful session. All of you, Sudhir, Manish and Sundar, thank you for this amazing discussion. And thank you, Economic Times, for holding this.